Afternoon, Fulham fans, to another episode of Live by the River as we review the match at Old Trafford between Manchester United and Fulham that ended up Manchester United 3, Fulham 2. And as the tattoo on Kevin's throat suggests, time is king. Do you think we just need more time to gel, Tom, or do you reckon we actually already know and haven't really learnt much from the match at all? In fact, that it's the same kind of old story of what we've been seeing recently.
I'm not sure what there is to gel. I mean, uh, yeah, I don't know.
No, it's what I mean is that is there anything that was new and fresh from that match? Is there anything that perhaps that we've learned about our players in that match, or is it just sort of something that we've been seeing, rinse and repeat since this season has begun? Where I don't think we've been playing that well. I mean, in fact, I think we've been playing better at the beginning of the season, and we weren't getting the results.
Yeah, when
And
King was on form.
yeah, and now it seems that haven't been performing well. There's sort of gaps, obvious gaps. So, for example, in midfield, like against Manchester United, and you're thinking, oh, that's why Manchester United are cutting through us so easily. And then it's down to, sort of maybe a set piece or a wonder goal as to why we either draw or win late in the day. Now, we didn't this time. I mean, we nearly got a draw out of it. And perhaps it should have been a draw in the end, considering the Manchester United goal and the mistakes that were made that allowed them to score. But I don't think that's a system, a workable system, a sustainable one with that kind of format where we're just relying on worldies to get us out of trouble. That's what I mean. Is there anything new that we can say about what we saw?
I think the only thing we can really take from that game is that Kevin has that ability and that this is a player definitely worth investing in. He's come close with that effort a few times. There was that one against Leeds on his debut, which got us the corner, which got the goal, but he's attempted it a few times since then. But the fact that we know he has this in his locker is very, very promising and shows that he is definitely one for the future. Other than that, I agree with what you said at the beginning, where it almost feels like at the start of the season we're a little bit more mercurial and played better as a team, but we maybe lacked that steel and ability to see out results. Hence, we were looking over our shoulder. Whereas in this recent run of form, which has seen us shoot up the table, it's probably been the opposite, where the performances haven't been that brilliant, but we've been a lot more defensively astute. And I don't think that has nothing to do with the fact the AFCON players, which actually formed the spine of the team, went away, because I think everyone would say they're three of the better players in the club. But it's almost like Silva's had to revert to a more solid defensive type of game where we do have to rely maybe on counter-attacks more and then individual moments. And Wilson has come up clutch in that period, but obviously we had a Kearney brilliant goal against Palace. We had Harrison Reed's brilliant goal against Liverpool. But with the exclusion of Bassi and Iwobi, who were more mercurial type players, we've got Cuenca and then whether it's Lukic or Kearney filling in, it's a lot more defensively sound, I would say, if less creative. So I think, this game, ironically against United, I think just came down to defensive individual errors. I think we would have cancelled each other out quite well, because bar the mistakes, I didn't think United were that lethal, definitely not to the extent that they were against Man City. I just think there were some really bad errors, especially from the central defenders that game.
Yeah, I can't work out how we've got the results that we have. I don't understand it at all. It's, if you look at our squad compared to, is it like the 1.2 billion that was spent on Manchester United and the players that we have, it's absolutely no comparison. And yet we nearly got a draw at Old Trafford. And Obviously, Manchester United fans are going to be really pleased because apparently this quote was the real test. Obviously, a backhanded compliment that Fulham obviously aren't up to scratch. They're not a top club, and it was historically these were the sorts of games that they'd always lose, and now they've actually won, and the jubilation of beating us, I found quite astonishing because they should beat us very easily.
I think it was the manner in which they beat us. The fact
it was
that
just the last minute goal.
We got back and they thought, oh, this is the end of this kind of run, which, to be fair to them, they haven't been able to cheer much in the last year or so. And I just think the fact that they can carry this momentum for another week, even if I think a lot of them know deep down that maybe Carrick isn't the guy who's going to bridge that gap between the Peps of this world. But it's just sometimes nice to be in the moment. So, I have no issue with the way they celebrated. I just think,
oh God, no. I mean, absolutely brilliant for them. It really stung, to be honest.
I was, to your point, I was surprised that the narrative was that, this is a team that's just going to park the bus against them. Because I think historically the games between us and United recently have been very balanced and very boring, really, because it's two teams kind of cancelling each other out. And I do think maybe when they come against teams, certainly the Palaces and maybe Brentfords of this world, who will sit deeper, and that's not a knock on them, they have the ability and facilities to be able to do that better than us. They have perhaps more dynamic players that can play on the counter more than ours, then I do think they might struggle a little bit more. But in terms of this game, I think starting with the Cuenca mistake and then just the entire team shut off for the free kick. And Casemiro, he's a real threat from set pieces, but if you give him that ability to just jump and nod it in with his head, then I don't think that comes down to tactics or management. I just think that sloppy play from ourselves, and specifically Cuenca giving away the foul that they thought was a penalty, they overturned, which they took so long. I think there's a real discussion, well, there always is, and it's not going to change, but about VAR taking time. I mean, we had a goal disallowed and we had that penalty overturned, but the momentum of the game is just absolutely sucked out of it by this thing, and just having to sit there and wait for minutes and minutes and minutes.
I mean, it certainly had a devastating effect on our defenders. I mean, I think all 11 players were in that box.
Yeah.
And it obviously massively affected them because they weren't in the moment.
They must have just shot off the door. Few wasn't a penalty. And then Bruno Fernandes just lifts one in, and it's Cuenca who Casemiro jumps over. And then it's 1-0, and then suddenly the whole dynamic, they don't have to press us really. I mean, I'm not saying they just sat back because they continue to play good football. And then their second goal comes from a really good piece of play from Casemiro, who was man of the match, to be honest. And we know the talent that Cunha has. I mean, the fact that United fans have essentially been gaslighted by their own manager and by some of their legends in the media that this is a poor team, I think is a nonsense. I think this is an unbelievable team. And then the third goal, I can't express to you enough how good that is from Bruno Fernandes, and how if we had Bruno Fernandes, he would be the best player we've ever had. And the fact that we're comparing ourselves to this team that has players like that. I mean, I still think it's poor from Bassi, and he should punt Fernandes into the Stretford end.
Scoot him into the
Bruno Fernandes, who probably weighs about a third of Bassi, dummies him, and Bassi decides in the 95th minute he's going to try and win the ball back fairly, and I just think it's absurd. And then he has that quality, we know he does. He whips in a ball. I think it's poor from Anderson, who he's so much better than that.
He left his leg out to see if it could catch the ball, though, Tom.
And then Sesko, the 70 million signing, who they can just bring on, just punts it in the top corner. So,
He also hit the post earlier, just when after he
I mean, I think they deserve to win. And I think the only reason we got back into it is because at 2-0, Harry Maguire decided to randomly torpedo Raul for the penalty. And if we can talk about positives, I think both goals were really lovely to see. I thought that's one of the best penalties I've ever seen from Real.
What absolute class! I mean, being our only striker that's playing literally 90 minutes, 34 years of age, he does so much hard work, and then still is able to do in the 82nd minute a pen like that.
Lemons is a really good keeper.
Oh, he's absolutely stunning.
And
that guy, yeah.
And he read actually where Raul was going to go, because Raul waited so long, but then Raul just lifts it above him, and I think it was literally the unsavable penalty. And I think there definitely is an argument that he's the best penalty taker in the league.
In the world.
Yeah, I mean, his record is flawless in the Premier League. I know Wolves fans will remind everyone that he missed quite an important one in the Europa League. But I just think the way he takes them, it's so hard for the keeper to save, because even if they call his bluff, he has the ability to just put it in a corner, even from a standing start.
He literally had like you said, there was no run-up, and he just scoops it, still with a lot of power, into that top left-hand corner. And Lemons has actually gone that way. And, it was such a relief, because I thought it would just be really sort of Fulham to not take the opportunity. But, I'm still thinking that we've got, penalty takers who can't be named, where it usually was the case that we'd miss. So well done to Raul. And then I think if we look at I think something that we did learn, something new in that match, that even though it's a move that Kevin obviously has worked on, and you could tell that's the way that he likes to score goals, the fact that he actually scored a goal against a very good side and a very good keeper was absolutely wonderful. And I think the joy on his face, and the fact that all the team joined in with that joy as well, it was absolutely such a wonderful moment.
And he did that exact give and go with Sessegnon, like he did for the Leeds chance, and he's done it a few times. Those two seem to have a really good connection.
Yeah.
And I dare say I'm not sure he would get that give and go with Robinson. I think Robinson, it's a lot more power based, and everything's a big movement, and it's a cross or it's a sprint, whereas Sessegnon seems to understand his movement a little more. So those two have a really good connection.
Well, Sessa's got real nuance, and I think Robinson's not that kind of player. Now, talking about Robinson, that something else is kind of we're finding out is that at the moment he's really not at he's off the pace.
He's not at the level he was.
Nowhere near the level. He's a shadow of what he was.
He would just eat up the ground last season, and every winger, I felt, even the Sakas and Salas of the world, weren't getting any change of him last season, as well as the fact that he was a constant threat at the other end. And you're still seeing moments of that, because he is still an unbelievable athletic player. But
Ahmad had him.
Ahmad gave him a really tough first half, and he just doesn't have the same bite to his movement, and he doesn't have that same acceleration. Maybe we're just overthinking that because we know he's gone through the surgery, but he doesn't seem as dynamic as he was. And to be fair, he was the most dynamic fullback in the league last season. So that, there is going to be a drop off if he's been injured, and we hope he can build back up to it. I did think Sander Berge had a good game. He tends to play best against United, whether that's because they are quite passive with the midfield press. But I actually thought he set up Raul for the chance for the penalty.
Yeah.
But there are a few nice little touches and interceptions he did. And I actually thought Iwobi, who's usually the better one, I still think he looks leggy after AFCON. And
he was pretty anonymous in that match. I thought our midfield was, ironically, anonymous in that first half. I thought Casemiro was virtually, if this counterintuitive, like Pirlo, like spraying balls around. And it seemed that they were just, had the midfield. Having said that, though, Berger did seem to actually do, like you said, more attacking passes. There weren't quite so many passing to the side and backwards, although that's still an element that I think we dwell on too much. And at the beginning of the match, I felt that that's all we did. We were just passing it around the back. and there was no aggression and no moving forward. There was no speed, no kind of incisiveness in what we were trying to do at all.
Chukwueze had a poor game, and
which is understandable.
Fair play for him
understandable,
for playing. And
absolutely.
I've said before, he's going to be the sort of player where sometimes he's very frustrating because he's always trying something with the ball. He's always trying a proactive movement.
Yeah.
He's never just recycling the ball. But I counted, there was one moment in the game where 4 or 5 passes in a row, it just went straight to a United defender because he gets the ball and his head is up. He's looking for a cross. He's looking for a dribble inside. And there will be games where everything he touches turns to gold, like his little cameo against Man City. But then we will get games like this where it will be quite frustrating. And I think it will probably cost him his starting place the next game because I think it will probably be Kevin and Wilson.
Okay.
Which is a shame because he's such a dynamic presence when he's playing well. But I just think this is something we're going to have to live with. And I really, really hope the Bob signing means that we don't try and make this permanent, because I think we've all kind of fallen in love with Chukwueze. I think we would love to see him as a Fulham player. It fits. Obviously, he's got the Nigerian connection, but his temperament just seems really addictive. You want a character like that.
He lifts the team. And there's so many matches that he's been in. He's lifted us up.
And it looks like as well, by the time of recording this, the January transfer window is just closed.
Yeah.
And it basically seems like Wilson's going to go. He's going to be a free agent. We turned down an offer from Everton, but I think it very much seems like the choice was sell him in January to get something, or just keep him and he goes on a free. So if that's the case, then we're going to need Chukwueze to stay around.
Definitely.
It's a shame about Wilson, and I really, really don't want this to come across. I think I said this in another podcast, but I don't want this to come across as like leave us at your peril.
Not my words.
Yeah, but I just think it would be a situation where it would be poor for everyone. I think Wilson's found his groove with us. I think we've found a player who can really win games for us. I mean, for teams like Fulham, that doesn't come around a lot. And there's clearly a relationship between the manager and Wilson. So it just seems like a shame if we would go to a Villa or an Everton or a Newcastle, where honestly, I don't know if he would be guaranteed to start, especially at a Villa. So I just think, obviously he doesn't think of it like that. And you want him to think that he could walk into any team. And he is well within his rights to say, I've done my due for this club. He helped us get promoted. He was one of the crucial players in that promotion, and he's really had to wait his turn. And I'll be honest, I thought Silva took the mick a little with him last season. I think there was a period last season where Silva should have been starting him.
Yeah, okay.
I think the period where he got those 2 goals against Brentford, there was a few cameos where he'd come on, and it'd be similar to what he's doing this season, but he wasn't getting that chance. We were persisting, I think, with Iwobi on the wing and other options. So he's well within his rights to say, look, I don't owe this club anything. But it just seems a shame, really.
I mean, you see it with some of the Fulham players that have decided to leave in their pomp. And then proceeded to sit on benches. I mean, look at Harvey Elliott now.
Well, Elliott's the more understandable one. But I suppose Palhinha, obviously, he's doing a bit better at Spurs now. But it's
Carvalho.
You don't want to sound like that fan who's like,
no,
because at the end of the day, what it comes down to is you're seeing a talent being wasted, and we think perhaps Wilson, 28, the best move for him would be to ride this wave. And we can ride the Wilson wave with him. It's as beneficial for us as it is for him. But obviously he feels like he can benefit another club. And we wouldn't want his mentality to be any different. It's just a shame that it's got to this point where he's hit his peak form and his contract's running out. It seems really, again, a stunningly incompetent from our board, our transfer team.
Fancy that.
Who this always seems to happen, where at the crucial juncture in a player's career for us, their contract runs out, and this happens all the time.
You mean they don't think ahead? There's no forward planning.
Yeah, maybe hindsight's 2020, and a year ago he would have looked like one of the weaker winger options for us. Now he's the premier player for Fulham. So yeah, I just think I'd love to see him in a Fulham shirt next season.
Absolutely. I mean, he didn't. I don't think he had a great game. I thought he cut quite a frustrated figure.
I still think that problem stems from the midfield. I know I've just sang Berger's praise, but I think the balance is still way off.
Yeah,
I don't think Smith Rowe's doing enough at the moment. I think Iwobi's looking leggy. They're not getting the ball to our attackers. I think Raul was on his own. Chukwueze, every time he got the ball, as we said, he was giving it away. So I think Wilson, who's the guy who's making the runs.
So what are we lacking? What is the position?
Balance, I think.
So we need a creative midfielder, someone that sits deeper.
I think we need
a box to box midfielder.
Yeah, I think we need a more physical presence in midfield for sure. I don't think we really have that. I think Lukic is physical, but it's sort of
it's like a scattergun,
a little bit aimless at times, where he's just running around.
Yeah.
I think we could do with sort of like a real physical presence.
You don't think Berger could learn to do that?
I don't think. I think we've all people have fallen into the trap of just assuming, oh, he's 6'5", he's a destroyer. That we know that's not his game. I don't think he can be that player for us. And we were looking at midfielders in the window like that Atra and whoever else, and I just feel like that is something. But we've been saying this for years now. I don't know if they're going to do it. We'll just get another two wingers, and
just lots of.
We needed a striker as well. I mean, poor Raul. We needed a striker. We didn't get this Pepe deal over the line.
It was all agreed apparently, except they hadn't organised another striker at PSV. Hilarious. It's exactly what happened with Polina, wasn't it? They, we hadn't got a replacement for him, and he's gone. We still haven't got a replacement for him. So it all seems a bit crazy. But I suppose you could argue it is quite an ambitious signing with Bob, even though he seems to be injured quite a lot of that. Nobody's really mentioned that. I mean, he's had a really terrible injury, and then he came back and then had another injury as well. So, I mean that's quite a big concern. I mean,
and also is there something in the fact that like if he was maybe leaving a team that was less highly regarded and it wasn't managed by Pep, you would be thinking, oh, maybe we've stolen one under their noses. But you always get the sense when a player leaves a Man City and they're deemed surplus to requirements that you're thinking, oh, there's a reason for that. But,
very suspicious,
I hope that's their error. And they've done it before. They got rid of Cole Palmer.
Yes.
Not saying that I expect anything like that, but I'm just... You just want to see a young talent play to his ability, and hopefully he can do that. And if you actually look at it on paper, we lost Traore and we gained Bob.
Yes.
I just look at the wider context, which probably means Wilson's leaving if there's such a big investment in that area. And it probably means that I'm more skeptical that will make Chukwueze permanent.
And I mean, Traore's got his moment of fame, not due to his footballing prowess.
Yeah.
The
Chelsea
fight
West Ham.
that everything that kicked off. Yes. So it did really hurt when they got that winner in extra time. But thinking of the disparity between our squads, thinking about what Silva's actually managed to do, it's still, we shouldn't be too downhearted. And, the fact that Kevin got that wonderful goal and Raul scored that amazing penalty.
Yeah.
I think, we have to realise that we're punching above our weight. Some of the issues is that we're still very worried about the lack of balance. Midfield needs to be more aggressive. There are issues perhaps where maybe we think that Smith Rowe could be doing more. That could be doing more. And perhaps Berger could be even more forward thinking, because I think he's got the capacity to do that. And just hopefully that Muniz will return fairly soon. I mean, they said that he might
fit.
I mean, that's the worrying thing, that they said mid-February, but then he has to play his way into fitness. So I think that's a concern. So,
and also it's a bit difficult situation because Raul has been doing a shift for this team. And where's Muniz getting his minutes? Because you can't just go to Raul, oh, well done, thank you for saving us in this period.
yeah.
You're on the bench again. So it's like Muniz is going to have to accept just being on the bench. And then that probably means that he'll be looking elsewhere again in the summer because he doesn't feel like he can be the number 9. So it's a very delicate situation that Silva has to manage. And Silva himself, who we don't know if he's going to extend either.
No, exactly. So it's I think it's quite unsettling at the moment, because we need Silva to sign a new contract. Also, it's unsettling that we do switch off our defense again. I'm very anxious about that defense where we'd clawed back 2 goals, and I think that's why it really hurt.
Yeah,
because Kevin got that absolutely amazing goal, wonderful moment. We had 4 minutes to go, and just some really kind of, farcical defending meant that we lost that.
yeah.
And I think that's what really hurt. And God knows what they're feeling. I mean, it must have been appalling. And especially to those fans that travelled, it must have been, a silent moment. So the other thing that I'm slightly worried about, Fulham fans, is that our next game is Everton, and I really don't like playing Everton.
And you'd probably say the reverse fixture was the worst performance of the season.
Oh God, it was awful. We played so badly, didn't we?
They completely.
Are they our bogey team?
I wouldn't say a bogey team. In fact, I think we've had favourable results recently, but I just feel like Moyes completely knew how to figure us out last game. And I remember it was a Berger Lukic midfield, and that was the game where he finally changed it because it was so horrific.
He had his epiphany
because they just loaded their midfield and they absolutely dominated us in midfield. So I really hope that Iwobi's on his back to what he was before AFCON. Because we're going to need that, and hopefully Berger continues his form. And it'll be interesting to see if I do think he'll go Kevin and Wilson.
I don't think he will. I think he'll stick with Chukwueze.
And do you think Bob will be in the squad?
Not yet. He might be on the bench.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That's what you actually asked. Sorry. I think he might be on the bench, but
he never goes straight in with players, does he? It's very rare.
I doubt he'll be in the squad, but maybe on the bench. I'm not sure.
So we might see a Bob cameo as well.
Indeed. Yes. So something to look forward to, and thank you so much for listening. And please join us when we review the Fulham-Everton match this weekend.